everybody. Today we're going to talk about tool warranties and things that you need to keep in mind if you're looking at a power tool or even a hand tool. Now, many companies will claim that their tools have a very long or even lifetime warranty. But what can happen is later on, when and if you have a problem, you might find out the hard way that that's just not true. Whether they make you mail the tool back in, or they make you have a list of paperwork that you're not going to have on hand or might be lost. Those kind of things can prevent you from ever getting your claim filed and getting a new tool to replace the one that broke. Now, what I want to do in this video is give you some tips as to what you can do ahead of time to make sure that the company you're dealing with is going to honor that warranty, and also figure out what the claims process will be if you ever need to file one. Something you can do, and something that I do, is actually call the warranty department for a company when you're considering a tool purchase and ask them what the warranty procedure is because you have a broken tool. Now, I'm not advocating that you fake having a broken tool trying to get free tools. There are verification processes that happen, and that's really dishonest to do. But if you're just doing research, I really don't see anything wrong with it. Now, what I actually have done is called up tool companies. I've told them I've had a broken wrench, for example, and what do I need to do to exchange that wrench? I get all kinds of answers, from there's nothing we can do, to you have to send it back to whoever you bought it from, to we can take care of it on the phone right now. Now, if you're looking at multiple wrenches from multiple companies, a warranty is something that you may have to use one day, and the ease of that warranty could really save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Two companies that I have personally verified that do not make you jump through a bunch of hoops or spend money to do a warranty claim would be Tekton as well as Sonnex. With both of these, everything can be done through email. You can send them a picture of your broken tool along with your information, and they will mail you out a replacement free of charge. Now, in the case of Tekton, this is very cut and dry, and usually the replacement is sent out the same day. And with Sonnex, you do need to send along your proof of purchase. However, replacement is very easy, and they do not require that you send the broken tool back into them. With either one of these, really the only time that would happen is if they have the same tool having the same problem, and they want to get in multiple versions of it in order to test it and see where the failure point is. If it's just a standard socket like this one that happens to split in the side, they would replace that for you, and they would not require that you send the broken tool back in. Some companies are very strict with their authorized reseller policies. One of those happens to be Gray Pneumatic, and after I did the full video review on their 3/8 inch drive mid-length impact socket set, I actually found out from a viewer that they do not consider Amazon.com as an authorized reseller. Now, keep in mind, Amazon sells these with Prime shipping, and it gives the appearance that Amazon is the seller on them. However, I did verify with Gray Pneumatic that they are not an authorized reseller, and any of their products which are purchased from Amazon do not have a warranty. So in the case of this socket set, let's say the 16mm socket split down the side, Gray Pneumatic would not replace it unless this entire set was purchased from an authorized distributor, at which time they will not deal with the customer directly. You would have to send that socket to whomever you bought it from. They would then have to send it to Gray Pneumatic, who would then authorize it to be replaced. It adds in 2 additional steps and a lot of additional expense for the end user. And for people that buy their tools online, you do want to consider that an authorized reseller versus just a website selling tools might affect your warranty. Something that's typically not going to be covered is normal wear and tear, because with any tool you need to keep in mind eventually it will wear out and you will need to replace it. Warranties are really designed for manufacturer defects, and if you use this extensively and eventually it wears out, that's not their fault, and it did a good job the entire life that you had it. Now, taking a look at this impact socket, the open end is still in very good condition, and I used to remove and install hundreds of 1.5 inch military lug nuts with this particular socket. The other end that actually plugs on the anvil, after all that time, eventually started to mushroom out, and although it still does work, it does have a little bit of slop now, and it doesn't fit on the anvil exactly the same way. Now, that would cause me to have a little bit of torque loss, but after all the use I put this socket through, in my opinion, that's normal wear and tear and would not be qualified for a warranty claim. Two things that would never qualify for a warranty claim would be neglect and abuse. Now, neglect could be as simple as rust on your tool, or it could be the fact that you don't oil your air tools, causing them to prematurely fail. That's not the manufacturer's fault, and they are right for denying your claim. In addition to that, abuse means that you have a tool and you're using it for an unintended purpose. In this case, I have a 1/2-inch extension. Now notice this side looks perfectly fine, and the other side is completely smashed in with a hammer. Now I've used this extensively as a punch. It works very well, but I would not go to the manufacturer and expect them to replace this because I'm the reason that it was damaged. When you look at power tools, it will be different because they do need to physically have the unit back in their hands to check it out, whether that's to fix or replace it. So unlike a hand tool that they could just look at a picture of something broken and mail you out a replacement, something like this Milwaukee M12 circular saw, they would need to take a look at in person. Now that's zero hassle with Milwaukee, specifically because if you have a problem like I did with this unit, you can print out a shipping label, they're going to pay for shipping to them as well as back to you, and they have a very fast turnaround time. Now this particular unit, I actually snapped the arbor bolt off when I tried to initially remove it because it was seized in place, and when I used the included Allen key, it really just sheared it off and it left a little post inside the arbor. Now in this case, you can see I can easily remove it because this was replaced, but the entire process cost me absolutely nothing, and all I had to do was print out the label, ship it to them, and I had a replacement back on the doorstep in less than a week. One of the best power tool warranties out there is with Ridgid, specifically with their corded or their cordless lineups. And in this case, the Stealth Force Impact Driver Kit. If you bought this kit and register it within 90 days of purchase, it will qualify you for Ridgid's lifetime service agreement. Now, as long as you are qualified for that and everything's properly registered, you will be covered with free batteries, free parts, and free service for life. And if we take a look at a standard battery pack, eventually this will fail. And what you want to keep in mind, if this is part of that LSA agreement and it's covered, Ridgid will replace this for you free of charge. You won't have to go down to the Home Depot and buy another one of these for $50 or $100. Ridgid will eat the cost on it. Now in addition to that, let's say the hammer mechanism fails in here or the switch goes bad, they're going to replace that also, and it's not going to cost you anything. On the other end of the spectrum would be something like the Chicago Electric impact wrench sold by Harbor Freight. Now keep in mind, Chicago Electric is going to be the store brand at Harbor Freight, and all the cordless and corded power tools only carry a 90-day warranty right out of the box. So in this case, I bought this unit for over $100, and if on day number 91 I had a problem with it, nothing would be covered and I would have to buy an entire new unit to replace it. They do offer the option for having an extended warranty on any of their power tools. However, you must buy that separately, and it does greatly add to the overall cost. Power tool batteries will also have a warranty, but very rarely will they have the same warranty as the tool that they go along with. It's usually a shorter time frame, and it also works differently because they also have something called a limited number of charge cycles. In the case of this M12 battery, if we had it completely dead and we plugged it into the charger, it takes an hour to come back to a full charge. That would count as one charge cycle. But if we just had this and let's say used it for 5 minutes, barely draining the battery down, we plug it in the charger to bring it back to a full charge, that's also going to count as the same charge cycle. When you get to a limited number of those charge cycles, it automatically voids the warranty, even if you're well below running over the time frame expiration. The best way to make sure that your batteries last their absolute longest and you don't void that warranty accidentally is to let them drain down fully before charging them up, and don't constantly pop them on the charger every time you use them. So that should give you a pretty good idea as to what you can look at ahead of time when you're researching your hand tool purchases or your power tool purchases. And like I showed you in those clips, if you do have a problem with a tool that's a genuine manufacturer defect, almost all manufacturers don't have a problem replacing that for you. But if it's a case of abuse or it just wears out over time, that's typically not covered with a lifetime warranty because the warranty is covering those defects. It's not covering wear and tear or abuse on your part. So let's say you have a wrench and you put a big cheater pipe on it to break something free, and they can see the marks on the wrench. They're going to know what you did, and they're going to deny the claim, which would be rightfully so. Now in the case of a socket, if the socket splits, that's a legitimate claim, and they should replace that for you. And when we look at power tools, in the case of the Chicago Electric, which is sold at Harbor Freight, those only come with a 90-day warranty, which is 3 months. And let's say at 4 or 5 months you have a problem, they're not going to do anything for you. If you look at the Milwaukee Fuel, it is covered with a 5-year warranty. So if you have a problem with it during that time frame, Milwaukee will not only pay the shipping to them and back to you, they also have a 5-day turnaround time for the repair. And finally, with the Ridgid, out of the box, they're going to have a 3-year warranty. But if you do register them within 90 days of purchase, you will qualify for the Ridgid Lifetime Service Agreement. And that means that you would get free batteries, free parts, and free service for life. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.